USA News channel. Please like and subscribe for the first get new video update from us. Thank you.
Here with a new threat, saying that he always has a nuclear button on his desk.
North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un with another warning for the United States today as part of his New Year's address to the people. What a warm and lovely message he had, saying he always has a nuclear button on his desk, and once again claiming the rogue regime has missiles capable of striking anywhere in the United States.
In his New Year's address on Monday, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un said his government is willing to send a delegation to the upcoming Pyeongchang Winter Olympics to be held in South Korea, and he gave his best wishes for the Games.
The Pyeongchang Winter Olympics will be a good opportunity to show the Korean people's prestige. We sincerely hope for the event to be held successfully.
The young leader said this year was significant for both countries, since the South will be holding the Pyeongchang Winter Olympics and the North will be celebrating the 70th anniversary of the North Korean regime's establishment. Kim also called for joint efforts to ease military tensions and to foster an environment of peace on the Korean peninsula. Concerning the North nuclear weapons program, Kim Jong-un said last year North Korea had become a full-fledged nuclear state.
It is not a threat, but a reality that I always have our nuclear button on my desk, enabling us to hit the U.S. mainland.
We're actually closer, in my view, to a nuclear war with North Korea and in that region than we've ever been, and I just don't see I don't see the opportunities to solve this diplomatically at this particular point.
It's propaganda from Kim Jong-un. This is his regular New Year's speech, and obviously he has seen the conversation in the United States that looks at possible preemptive military force, not as the most attractive option, but as an option that we definitely have to use if they don't give up their nuclear weapons program. So we need a very careful calibration exactly what the North's capabilities are.
The young leader claims that the regime's nuclear weapons will serve as a strong deterrent to what he called Washington's threats. Kim said the North needs to mass-produce nuclear warheads and ballistic missiles and accelerate their deployment. Pyongyang conducted its sixth and most powerful nuclear test last September and launched intercontinental ballistic missiles 3 times.
In the Korean Peninsula, and his brand of diplomacy towards North Korea and its leader Kim Jong-un was something that we had not seen before.
Yes, very much so. I mean, one expert I talked to, he pointed out that there hasn't been this much talk of war since the Korean War in the 1950s. I mean, North Korea has always threatened to destroy the US. I mean, that's perhaps nothing new. But for the leader of the US to promise fire and fury, as Trump did earlier this year, is unprecedented. However, I would point out that although tensions have heightened, the general consensus is that we're still very far away from an actual all-out conflict. There's been lots of words, but no tangible movements as of yet.
Now, Tony, we're going to turn back to you. 2018, which directions are most North Korean watchers leaning towards? More pressure from the international community proving to be fruitful, or faster than expected weapons developments in North Korea?
Well, Daniel, there is speculation that the regime could halt its provocations at least for temporarily because it has claimed that its weapons program is complete. And eyes are also on Kim Jong-un's New Year's speech to be released tomorrow because it could give us a hint on what direction North Korea would take next year. Experts that I've talked to think that Kim could declare the North as a nuclear state and try to start peaceful dialogue with surrounding countries. But if that fails and the international community holds on to tough sanctions against the regime, it'll only provoke the regime for more provocative actions like more tests of ICBMs or submarine-launched ballistic missiles, or even a 7th nuclear test.
What the North calls a completion is actually about 90% complete, not 100%. There's more stages Pyongyang has to go through to diversify its missiles and actually deploy them. The North could also go on to develop solid fuel missiles and SLBMs.
And Chang Ho-seo's role in perhaps reigning in North Korea looks to change with a new, relatively young liberal leader now in place. President Moon offered both carrot and stick to Pyongyang, while also juggling a different style of diplomacy coming from Washington. What sort of diplomacy are we looking at from Seoul on Pyongyang, and how do we anticipate things to shape up in the new years?
So when Moon Jae-in got to work at the top office in May, there was an attempt to shift away from the previous hardline stance on North Korea. They tried to reach out to Pyongyang and offering to open talks and provide aid, but all those offers have been rebuffed or simply ignored. If North Korea continues its provocations, Seoul has said they will continue to push for further sanctions and pressure. But I think we can also expect the Moon administration to be bolder in their plans to engage with the North as well. as Johnny said, we will have to watch Kim Jong-un's New Year address and other factors, such as whether they decide to send athletes for the Pyeongchang 2018 Winter Olympics in February as well, to see whether they'll be more open to dialogue in the new year.
I hope springs eternal that some degree of sports diplomacy could help thaw things between the two Koreas. Now, Johnny, while we have plenty of stories related to the Hermit Kingdom this year, there's none more dramatic than the daring crossing by a low-ranking North Korean soldier. There's even footage of that, probably one of the most watched clips online. Do fill us in on the terrifying escape that almost cost the young man his life.
That's right, Daniel. Actually, we've seen quite a lot of North Korean soldiers cross through the military demarcation line and defect to the south. But you're right. Indeed, that defection in November was, of course, the most dramatic one we saw in history. And that's because it happened at the joint security area where the soldiers from the two Koreas stand face to face. Now, just to give our viewers a brief update, the soldier is alive. He's going through the rehabilitation process and he's being investigated by the military and intelligence authorities. Other than him, we saw 3 more soldiers defect to South Korea by crossing over the inter-Korean border, the most recent one taking place just 10 days ago. Pundits say this isn't really a sign that the Kim Jong-un regime is unstable, but just cases of defection happening intermittently with soldiers who've caused problems within their units or who've been influenced by South Korea's anti-Pyongyang broadcasts at the border.
And also this year, looking back, there has been an upgrade in South Korea's defense capabilities. Seoul deployed the U.S. THREA anti-missile defense system in South Korea. Unfortunately, even if it was a choice made out of necessity, that decision was not being taken generously by China. It was very perceived differently in Beijing, leading to frayed Seoul-Beijing relations.
That's right. The THAAD battery became fully operational in early September, and that's after Pyongyang carried out its 6th nuclear test. The THAAD is a U.S.-made missile defense system capable of intercepting incoming missiles from North Korea, which complements the current Patriot missile defense system. China is worried that the THAAD radar can gather intelligence on its military, and so it's been strongly opposed to it and has retaliated all year long against South Korea for deploying the system. Beijing banned group tours and reduced flights to South Korea and imposed stricter customs regulations on South Korean products. Now, Lotte was the one that had to suffer the most for offering the land to station the THAAD battery. Businesses of 24 Lotte-owned companies came to a halt in China. South Korea and China agreed in late October to put the row behind them and move on, but it still remains to be seen whether it's truly over, since China's been quite capricious in lifting and imposing bans on group tours to South Korea.
Capricious would be an understatement. We will hope for the best and keep our fingers crossed. Well, Chang, we're taking a sidestep to talk about another variable in Northeast Asian diplomacy. One of the biggest stories of the year came just this week. We're talking about a special government task force who released a very critical review of the 2015 Seoul, Tokyo, Denmark deal on Japan's wartime sex slavery issue. Bilateral relationship is once again hanging in the balance.
That's right. The main criticism of the review was that there wasn't enough involvement from the victims of the Japanese wartime sex slavery themselves. President Moon described this as deeply flawed and said that follow-up measures need to be taken. Well, the issue now is, what will those follow-up measures be? Some have called for the agreement to be ripped apart altogether, but Tokyo have stated that they have no intention of renegotiating. There is so much friction currently that Prime Minister Shinzo Abe may even snub Seoul's offer to come to the Olympics next February. There doesn't seem to be an easy fix to this, and this will be a real test of the administration's diplomatic capabilities to navigate this issue going into 2018. But we always have to keep in mind the victims here. There are only 32 publicly registered survivors alive today, and their average age is over 90. Seoul will be under pressure to find some sort of resolution to bring them some peace before it's too late.
All right, guys, we'll be looking forward to Chang-woo and Jung-yi filling us in and keeping us updated on these issues and more. Thank you so much for being in the studio with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.